All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into something that pretty much every software team on the planet has to deal with. It's this invisible force that just seems to slow everything down over time. We're talking about technical debt.
So, does this sound familiar? You start a new project, everything's flying. You're shipping features, you're crushing it. But then, 6 months, maybe a year later, things just feel heavy, right? Adding a simple little button suddenly takes weeks of work. Why does that happen? Well, you're not imagining it, and there's a really good name for what's dragging you down.
Okay, so let's get right into it. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to think less like engineers for a second and more like accountants. Yeah, I know. But trust me, this financial metaphor is the key to unlocking the whole concept.
So what exactly is technical debt? Well, the term was actually created way back in 1992 by a developer named Ward Cunningham. And here's the genius part. He didn't invent it to talk to other developers. He invented it to explain to his boss, a finance guy, why his team needed time to go back and clean up their code. It was a brilliant way to reframe messy code from being just some nerdy technical complaint into what it really is, a financial liability on the company's balance sheet.
And this right here, this is the most critical part of the entire metaphor. You've got the loan itself, the principal, which is just the one-time effort to actually fix the messy code. But then you've got the interest. And the interest, oh, that's the killer. That is the constant, compounding daily tax you pay for not fixing the code. It's the thing that slowly grinds your team to a halt.
So what do these interest payments actually look like day to day? Well, it's that feeling that your development speed is just tanking. Everything takes longer. You're spending more and more time just maintaining the old stuff. You're seeing way more bugs pop up because the code is so fragile. It takes forever to get new hires up to speed. And maybe most importantly, team morale just plummets. I mean, nobody likes spending their entire day wrestling with a tangled mess of old code. It leads to serious burnout.
But, and this is a really important but, not all debt is the same. Just like in your personal finances, there's good debt, like a mortgage, and then there's bad debt, like maxing out your credit cards. Technical debt is kind of the same, and it breaks down into 4 main types. This quadrant from Martin Fowler is honestly a fantastic way to diagnose what's happening on your team. Up in the top left, you've got prudent and deliberate debt. That's a conscious, strategic choice. You're saying, look, we know this isn't perfect, but we have to ship now to beat a competitor, and we'll fix it later. That can be a smart business move. But then you go down to the bottom right. Reckless and inadvertent debt, the what's layering quadrant. This is the bad stuff. This signals a real lack of awareness or skill. If you have a lot of debt here, you don't just have a code problem, you probably have a people and training problem. So, we know what it is, we know the different types, but how do you actually measure it? How do you go from that vague, sinking feeling that our code is a mess to a hard number you can actually do something with? Well, it's time to run a little audit on your codebase. You can really boil this audit down to 3 clear steps. First, you analyze the code itself. You can use automated tools for this to look for things like complexity, duplication, stuff like that. Second, you analyze your process. Look at your metrics. How often is a piece of code changing? What's your bug rate? And third, and this is absolutely critical, you have to ask your team. You just have to. Send out surveys, talk to people, and find out from them where the real pain is. And that human element, it turns out it's more important than anything else. This quote from a Google research paper is it's perfect. They found that automated tools alone are actually terrible at predicting where the real debt is. Why? Because your engineers understand the future. They see the gap between the code you have today and what it needs to be to support the features you're building next quarter. A static analysis tool can't see that. Only your people can. Okay, so you've done the work. You've identified your debt, you've measured it, now what? Now comes the most important part. You have to create a repayment plan. And the key here is to be strategic. You're not going to fix everything. You're going to target the highest interest debt first. First things first, let's get one thing straight. The goal is never zero debt. I mean, that's totally unrealistic, and honestly, it's probably a bad business decision. The real goal is to think of it like a financial portfolio. You want to actively manage your debt and make sure that anytime you invest in paying it down, you're getting the absolute biggest bang for your buck. So where do you get that biggest return on your investment? Well, the good old 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, totally applies here. It turns out that in most code bases, something like 80% of your pain, all the bugs, all the slowdowns, it comes from a tiny 20% slice of the code. These are your hotspots. Find those hotspots and you've found exactly where you need to start paying things down.
And here is a super practical tool your team can literally use tomorrow in your planning meeting. It's the impact versus effort matrix. You just take all the little pieces of debt you've identified and you plot them on this grid. Anything that's high impact and low effort, those are your quick wins. Do them right now. High impact, high effort stuff, those are your big strategic projects you need to plan for. It just makes the whole prioritization discussion so much clearer for everyone.
Now here's a pro tip, and this might be the single best piece of advice for actually getting buy-in from the business side of the house. You have to align your debt repayment with the product roadmap. The absolute #1 best time to fix a messy part of the code is right before you have to build a big new feature on top of it. Because then the cleanup isn't a chore, it's an investment that enables all that new value you're about to deliver.
All right, we've talked a lot about how to pay down the debt you already have. Now for the final and maybe most important section. How do you build good financial habits? How do you stop getting into so much bad debt in the first place?
It's all about weaving this stuff right into your team's normal workflow, making it a habit. First, you have to make the debt visible. Put it in the backlog, just like any other story. Then, you could dedicate a fixed percentage of every sprint, maybe it's 20%, to just paying it down. You can also strengthen your team's definition of done to include quality checks. And always talk about the root causes of new debt when you do your retrospectives.
But if you want to boil all of this down to just one single powerful cultural idea, it's this one, the Boy Scout rule. It's simple. Always leave the code cleaner than you found it. That's it. If every single developer makes one tiny little improvement every time they touch a file, the system just naturally starts to heal itself over time. It makes refactoring a continuous habit, not some big, scary project.
And that really gets to the heart of the matter. Technical debt, it's not really a technical problem. At its core, it's a human and a cultural problem. The state of your code base is like a mirror. It reflects your organization's real values, how you communicate, and whether you truly prioritize long-term health or you're just focused on short-term wins.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to take back with you. Ask your team, ask your leadership. Right now, today, is our team spending its time paying interest on old debt, or are we free to build future value? The answer to that question might just change everything.